One of the key themes that has emerged from this group is the impact of raising a disabled child on the health and well-being of dads and their work-life balance. From our research, we know that parents of disabled children are more likely to experience higher levels of stress, often linked to a lack of support, which can have a negative impact on parents' well-being. Fathers, like mothers of disabled children, are also less likely to have time to pursue their own hobbies and interests, things which we know are really important for an individual's health and well-being. We also know that how a parent feels not only has an impact on them, but also can have an impact on their children too. So we very much encourage dads to look after themselves, even though we know that sometimes this can be really difficult. So in this episode, the dads reflect on their well-being and what has worked for them, and also discuss some of the challenges in terms of balancing work and family life.
For me personally, and I assume most parents, you always put your children first. But I think the way we have to look at it is, if you're not looking after your own health, you're not going to be there to look after everybody else.
And like you said, hyper alert all the time, constant. It's just, it's tiring.
I suffer from anxiety and have done, most of my life. And the times when, having challenges, really kind of exacerbated that, and became more anxious about things, and low moods and things like that, because you kind of get stuck into a sort of never-ending cycle of issues and challenges, and that can affect your mood.
You suddenly come into this world where you work all week, so you're aware that you're not really helping. So then the weekend becomes the bit where you can help. So you then don't want to do anything, or you don't want to say, oh, I'm going to go for a ride around the park or whatever it is.
People I have spoken to in similar situations, other parents at the school and stuff, who have struggled, I guess, with their own mental health, about they're in the same boat where they struggle to get out, meet family and stuff like that. So it's one of those that how many times I've sort of tried to say, look, do you get out and have a run? Do you go and meet an old mate for coffee or a beer in the pub or whatever? But in that respect, it's then, they feel guilty if they leave the wife at home with the children.
These things can kind of come in like a bit of a tsunami all at once, and it's just trying to recognize that early on, ask for help, reach out for help, ask for support. Don't try and take it on everything yourself. If you've got family that support and offer childcare, just say, look, can you come and have the kids for a couple of hours, just so we can go out and have some quiet time.
And so I've got two key friends that I can share a lot of things with, and so I think it's helpful to have strong friendships, but also for your mental health to do something that you enjoy, be that snooker, be that watching football, going to a football match, playing football, something exercise related as well. So I like to run. I don't run as often as I'd like, but just 20 minutes every other day, just out the house with your earphones in, something that's just for you. Also for me, it would be that I tend to go, I go food shopping on my own because it's less stressful than taking children with you. And I don't enjoy food shopping, but I enjoy doing it without anyone else there, and that's an hour out of your day.
I think you've got to find between you a way of agreeing that you've got to have a bit of space to do something. You've got to have an outlet. We haven't quite got there yet, but we recognise that we need it. Finding
Time for yourself is important. I've managed this by joining a local domino league. I just one Monday, I go out for a couple of hours, play dominoes with my dad, and our friends in a league, and it's just a couple of hours away from the family environment. although you still feel guilty for taking that time for yourself. But it is, I found in my experience, it is important to have that time away, just so you can recharge your own batteries, so to speak.
Some of the activities that I do, I'm a keen photographer. So I've got like a network of friends and stuff that are photographers, so obviously going to spend some time doing things with those guys. I also play snooker with a friend and stuff like that on quite a regular basis. So what I find is when I come back from those, I feel more refreshed, and I feel I'm more capable of doing the right strategies and things, because I've just had that breather, that break, kind of mentally.
It's very easy with disabled children to focus massively on them, but even, you know, an hour a week on you, you know, just even if it is just once a week or whatever. The only thing I can always remember is obviously make sure you offer that opportunity up to your partner as well. You know, it's just making sure that you have that time just to decompress. Because if you don't, yeah, a lot of the time it's a lot of the feelings, a lot of your sort of any anxieties and stuff like can build up, and you don't, in a way, you don't want to sort of erupt in the house. Just take yourself away or whatever you need to do to sort of decompress, I guess.
But you know, the advice is the same really as it would be, you know, whether you had children with additional needs or not, is really just to look after yourself, to take that time out, to do those positive things, you know, things like exercising, things like getting out and socializing, talking to other people about it, and you know, it does kind of really help you start to see the wood for the trees a little bit, and start to, you know, recognize, you know, potentially what things are going to be your trigger points and things like that, and you could be a bit more aware of it.
If you try and bottle it up, and you know, if you're feeling negative or sad or anything along those lines, or even if you're just feeling massively overwhelmed by the situation, which you will, just tell someone, your partner, your parents, whoever, you know, just go, I feel massively overwhelmed. But even just saying it to someone, you know, takes that little weight of the pressure or whatever off you. They don't get it. They really don't. And you know, it's one of those things. I guess the HR department know what they can and can't do. But you know, my bosses really just don't get it. But in the same respect, I go in knowing what I can do, and what I can ask for, and they have to take it into consideration. And if they don't allow it to change, they'd have to have a blooming good reason why.
Yeah, so their employees are okay, but not that understanding. As about a child with additional needs, you just go, I need these shifts because of this, or I've got a dentist appointment because he's got a dentist appointment which is at the hospital, so we need to go to this.
They are quite good giving me time off if I need to go to appointments. However, saying that, I do find the pressure to take the time that I need. I don't always take as much time for these appointments as I should, or wanting to. The pressure not to take time off work, even though they have been brilliant. I wish, looking back now, I'd have took more time off.
Work can be quite challenging with having, you know, children that have additional needs, because things can be quite unpredictable. So what we were finding is that they'd be at school and then we'd get a phone call and we'd pretty much have to drop everything and go to the school. There's a lot of regular appointments, whether that would be with medical professionals or whether it be with school or whatever. So there's a lot of appointments to try and squeeze in. And so you do need, I mean, luckily I've benefited from having understanding managers and things over the years that you know, have made them aware of the situation, and they've been very supportive. But you do feel compromised at times. You do feel like you're either not giving the best of yourself at work because you've got other challenges, or vice versa. You know, you're caught up in your work and you're not necessarily giving the best of yourself at home, so it can be quite difficult.
One of the things that I did early doors with work, I told them what was going on. I explained to my boss about stuff. I was spending quite a bit of time in the hospital and back and forth from hospital at that point. So actually keeping them in the loop and explaining to them what's going on, and you know, my son's having issues. We don't know exactly what they are, but there's an issue there. We're trying to figure it out. I think most people in the world, given that information, are going to be understanding and are going to try and help you out. It would be easy to think, oh, that's my problem and they don't need to know it, and I'll just book holiday and I'll just do whatever. I just don't think that's the best approach.
When you've got children with additional needs, you know, having flexibility in your work life can be massively beneficial. Even if that's just the flexibility that you can start later and finish earlier, or you can adjust your hours, or you can change things, shifts around, and then obviously things like being able to work from home a little bit. So I'd encourage you know, dads, that if they've got a job where they think there's potentially some level of flexibility, to explore that, because it can make a massive difference.
I guess it's whatever works for your family. Just remember, it's whatever works for your family. It's not about your parents and how they've done things. It's not about your brothers or your sisters and how they're coping. It's what helps you and your family. And whatever that dynamic is, you just need to get something that works for you guys, and and then roll with it.